So Bitcoin and crypto are lining up for what could be one of the biggest, at least catch-up trades of the decade. And in today's show, I'll show you why. Yesterday, we did touch on it very, very briefly when we have a look at this chart over here, which was, of course, the massive cup and handle, which is occurring on the S&P 500, on gold, as well as on BTC, where we already saw the breakout from the S&P 500 and gold. So on today's show, we're going to have a look at some of the reasons why BTC may be about to catch up beyond just the technical analysis of the cup and handle, but more the fundamental reasons. So smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And let's get straight into the show content. I'm looking at Banter Bubbles just very, very quickly over here, and you can see the hourly is pushing up, daily is still down. So when will this corrective phase come to an end? That's also something we'll have a look at today. How far down could we go if we do continue to see a bit of drawdown within the market? Weekly still strong, monthly still strong, and then of course the yearly is up a whole lot over there. So what could be some of the fundamental factors that may drive prices up higher to complete this massive cup and handle formation, which has huge implied targets for Bitcoin? Some analysts are going with the aggressive targets of $230,000 Bitcoin price. Well, let's get into it. Some of the reasons will be, of course, the flow of money, the liquidity coming in and out of the market. You can see this just came in. China central bank injecting 792 billion yuan via 7-day reverse repo at 1.5%. That just came in. So I'm monitoring this over here. We still have not yet seen any steady continued inflows over here from the People's Bank of China. It's been very sporadic, right, with the histogram chopping in and out of it. And same thing for the major central banks, just kind of been chopping about through this whole time period. So the thing that we've been tracking most closely is the M2 money supply, which is a little bit easier to digest what's going on over there. And if you look here from James van Straten, the M2 money supply for September's increase was 0.2% on a month-on-month scale, and it's now increased for 11 consecutive months. So these are the first signs and symptoms that there's some form of quantitative easing that's probably about to take place. And once that does take place, with the interest rates being cut, that's usually where you see that up-only environment. And if you have a look at this Bitcoin and the M2 growth global supply for the year-on-year time period, well, this is ultimately what it showcases, right? If you look at that M2 supply in the blue line over there, and then you look at Bitcoin with the black line, you can see that oftentimes the blue line leads price action and the black line only follows along at a later date with massive expansion. And if we look at the M2 year-on-year growth, well, you can see over here with the histogram as well, we're nowhere near where you see those bull market peaks. If you look at this in 2017 leading into that bull market peak, 2021 leading into the bull market peak, you can see how low this is, right? It's still very, very, very low. But the good news is that it's trending towards the upside. And now when you go super macro over here and you have a look at the really high time frame perspective, this is the reason why Bitcoin is not really going to be capped in the long term in terms of how high it can go with price, because the fiat will continue to be printed, and the more money they print in fiat, the more debt they take on, the higher the Bitcoin price tends to go. So Quinton shows over here, this is the exact reason why you're not bullish enough, right? If the US debt can actually reach 153 trillion by 2050, then Bitcoin can easily become worth $10 million, because at that point, the dollar is not really worth much. It becomes pretty much worth less than the paper that it's printed on, right? So that's something to consider over there. Also, lining up that M2 money supply, and as it begins to expand, this is something else to have a look at over here, is the historical volatility, which we've showcased on, this is on a very high time frame chart, monthly scale over here. The historical volatility is about to expand. It's just started to break out. The stochastics are only just crossing up above that 20 mark, moving into the bullish control zone where things start to move up. And then the RSI is also breaking that trend line. If you go back to the vertical area over here around that halving, we saw a very, very similar metric occur, right? We saw a very similar profile take place with the RSI, with the volatility, as well as with the stochastic. And we're getting the same thing, right? This shows that, as price grinds into those all-time highs over here, you do have what could be a perfect storm for price. And therefore, we're still looking at what's occurring over here on the total cryptocurrency market cap, since we know that the highest opportunity is still going to be in that altcoin sector. That's where the biggest gains are had, right? And consequently, as long as this continues to maintain those high highs and high lows, which is currently the case, we believe this is creating the order block, prepping for the next move towards the upside. So we'll keep an eye out on that. In terms of validation and invalidation levels, we probably need to mark out some zones just in case this pullback does go on longer than expected, right? Here's going to be your key areas of interest. So lining up from the bottom of this level over here where price came down in terms of the total market cap came down to that $2.02 trillion mark. And then let's assume this is a local high that's been put in at 2.355 trillion. What we want to do is we want to measure to the 0.382 and the 0.5 level, which means that you could see the total cryptocurrency market cap come back down to test that $2.2 trillion region. And anywhere around there, you're looking for major support to be found, right? And this would still form a broader order block as per the little pink zone over here that we've highlighted. And that's where you're looking for rapid expansion, right? That's your springboard that should get price moving onwards and upwards. So we'll outline the areas. The areas of interest pretty much is going to be this as a bit of a ranging market. In a worst case scenario, you come down towards this region. In the best case scenario, you know where these wicks are finding support right now at 2.3 trillion, 2.25 trillion. This is the area where you want to see price expand from, right? So all in all, I'm looking at that. We also have to look towards MicroStrategy, which are constantly raising money. And you can see MicroStrategy is actually leading Bitcoin, right? Because it's a leverage bet on Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin comes down, MicroStrategy tends to come down harder. When Bitcoin goes up, MicroStrategy goes up quicker, right? So it's like it's like trading Bitcoin on 3 to 5x leverage. So you can see the move that's occurred up over here. You can see the range over here. It's already started to break out the top side of the range, whereas Bitcoin has not yet done that. Now you have a double measured move. There's cup and handle formations on the charts all across the board, right? You have this massive cup and handle formation over here. You saw it on gold. You saw it on the S&P 500. You're seeing it over here on MicroStrategy. Also, simultaneously, you do, of course, have a massive bull flag, right? So there it is. There is your pole, there's your flag formation, and you're currently already confirming the breakout. So you do have measured moves on this. That means that MicroStrategy to play out the full measured move from current price action, both targets take you to almost the same place, and you're looking at about a 481% move, which is very, very interesting because I just told you that MicroStrategy trades at about a 4 to 5x multiple of what Bitcoin does. And if Bitcoin plays out its measured move towards the top side, anywhere around that $120,000 level, you know, that's about 100% move, and this is giving you about 4 to 5 times that. So we'll keep monitoring this, just an extra piece of the puzzle that you can add in to try and make sense of where things are going. And so far, it is looking good, right? If you do appreciate the analysis, by the way, guys, please do me a favor, smash the like button. It truly helps to get the YouTube algorithm going. This is a game of, clicks and algorithm. And if you do smash the like button, it helps to get that algo going. Then we can bring alpha to more people, help more people succeed in the markets. I think we've all had a stellar run. We've all made great money over the last couple of years. So let's bring more people into the mix. All right. Also, keeping an eye out over here on the USDT market cap. Let's put a little face over there. We do need to watch this. We'll watch that level over there. If this can start to break down and we can get lower highs over here, this should bring also a new flow of money in alignment with what we've seen over there with the M2 money supply. I also pulled up yesterday for the Whale Room Live members the Renko chart because I just wanted to have a look over here to see, what is the general Renko charts saying across the majors, and we had a look at a bunch of them. Now Renko keeps it super simple. We're looking at it on a daily time frame. Really, it's as easy as this. When it's red, you risk going into a downtrend. When it's green, you have the opportunity for a strong uptrend to form, and has been green for quite some time on Bitcoin. If you look at ETH has recently just turned green over there on the Renko chart. We'll look at a couple of the other majors. Atom's been one that's been heavily hit, but let's see any signs of life. Well, if it can start to close here or any higher, you might start getting your first high low in the Renko chart. And this has been following an absolutely brutal meltdown. They did have the whole Cosmos conference taking place right here in Dubai over the course of this week. So there could be some major announcements coming out of that could start to drive price up. But otherwise, it definitely hasn't been one of the market leaders. AVAX still getting a little bit smashed down there over there. You can see Casper recently turned red. If Casper can get back above 14 cents, this should turn a green once again. Let's look at Solana. Solana also green, following a prolonged consolidation. If it can stay green over here and you start to break out of this range level over here, you could hopefully get some continuation. SUI has been one of the market leaders, so green for a while, ever since about this 80 cents region, 88 cents region, it's been nothing but up. TON still struggling, right? Still in that consolidative period, similar to what Bitcoin's already been through. Lower lows and lower highs. We need to wait for this one to find some level of support, maybe around that $4 mark is where you could see it start to bounce. So those are some of the major ones that we're looking at in terms of the large caps. But overall, you can see again, the funding rate over here, the average funding rate is still coming down based on what we saw last week. So probably a corrective zone over here where you're looking for opportunities to still build your positions, right? So all in all, we can see liquidity is getting stronger towards the upside or more. There's more liquidity for the taking than what we saw yesterday. We're now sitting at $40 million worth of liquidity at that $68,000 level. If Bitcoin breaks up to grab some of that liquidity and can maintain and hold that level, then probably you see continuation of this move, right? Big cup and handle on the monthly. Remember that low volatility, but expanding. We've showcased that. Now, if I have a look at this over here, where does the real danger set in? As I've mentioned before, if you start to take out this previous week's low, that's going to be a dangerous environment. You'll be losing your 21 exponential moving average. What is my realistic expectation for how low price action can go? We'll have a look at this over here and we'll measure out the previous week's candle and we can look down towards the 50% level. Now, what's interesting about that is the 50% level just so happens to line up with our key range high at the orange line, right? So it's exactly on the orange line, 65,900. We'll line that up on the daily time frame to also see what that looks like. And I do personally believe that even if prices do come down a little bit lower, you're probably just going to see this maybe more as a pause within the market and then at a later stage have continued expansion. Remember that the longer we do build up at least or reaccumulate and build up momentum over here, the stronger the next move will be based on the breakout, right? So, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Don't wish for, 150, 180K tomorrow. The longer this goes on, the more opportunities you're going to find as a trader. You should welcome volatility, especially if you're a lower time frame trader. Welcome that volatility, embrace it, and use it to your advantage, as opposed to just, having hopium that price will just rip towards the upside. Okay. All in all, though, despite the way these candles are looking over here, because what some people may argue is, you had, of course, the highs, and then you had a low, and then you had a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then maybe some people believe this is yet again going to be another lower high. But the way that I viewed it is, this was obviously the last lower high. We still broke structure over there, and therefore the consolidation into this region should lead to continuation. This is why sometimes using those moving averages can be incredibly useful when confused with what's happening with price action, when you see a candle like that coming into key resistance, right? Fair enough. The bearish case would be that you've hit this resistance over here and you have a little bit of a swing failure pattern heading towards the downside. But these high time frame moving averages hold quite a lot of weight over here. This is the 3, the 9, and the 30, and they are currently postured towards the upside, which shows a lot of momentum. And following a long-term consolidation, 7-8 months of consolidating, it becomes increasingly more risky to build up short positions at those range highs following such a long period of consolidation, because it's most likely reaccumulation that's going to lead to continuation onwards and upwards. So lining up with this weekly scale over here where we said, the 65.9, let's just see how it lines up in terms of the current range that we have over here. So taking from the obvious low that we have, let's just use our magnet and pinpoint it exact. The low over there to the exact high, you can see how that lines up in a similar fashion, pretty close to where the previous candle's mid-range is. That's going to be coming in at about 64,100. So don't be surprised if you do see price continue down, over the coming days into that region. Probably just ends up being yet another higher low, right? Higher low in that region over there. You already put in higher high, higher high, higher low, the trend is your friend till the end, right? That's the name of the game. You buy each of those higher lows. Therefore, it becomes an opportunity. And I've simply stated that, in these bull markets, sometimes you don't get the dips that you want. You don't get the obvious levels that you want. And consequently, you have to be prepared for price to do things like this, right? A move up, short consolidation, and just straight continuation, and the dips become shallower and shallower. So as long as you come with a plan where you have some exposure in the market, maybe not all your chips on the table, but you're looking to deploy the rest of the chips into the obvious zones, like that 64 to 65K region, then you should be fine, right? You should be well on your way to profits and success for the rest of the market. Now, I'm going to be less inclined to encourage people to be allocating into large positions when Bitcoin actually starts to take out these highs, right? When you start to see this consolidation over here, that's going to be labeled as the SOS phase. So bookmark that, write that down. That's exactly what we're going to call it. That is your sign of strength, right? Once we start to move into the sign of strength, that's really, really now the final buying opportunity. And when rapid expansion comes, that's it, right? The train has left the station. There will not be there will be an opportunity. There's always an opportunity to get into the market, but it becomes very risky. You're taking on exorbitant risk to be entering based on the next expansion above you. So consider all the current price action that's taking place, nothing but opportunity, and you have a second chance if you've been sidelined waiting to get into the market, right? So previous month's high currently situated at 66.5, and then again, that mid-range taken from the previous high low to if this is a confirmed high, right? Because we don't have confirmation, right? This might simply just push up over here, and then we have to continue to drag our fib up with price, and then the mid-range ends at a different level, right? It becomes a different zone. Right now, as it currently stands, between 64 and that 65,500 is going to be a very, very key zone for bulls to hold and defend, right? They need to hold the line over there. So Bitcoin over here already peaked its head through the downsloping trend line. A lot of liquidity overhead there. Let's just quickly double check in terms of where the RSI is. Let's quickly add that in. So we have 67,748. That is the level. Let's just mark it off. So Bitcoin needs to get back above that yellow line. If it can, that's where bulls start to take back control in terms of the RSI trending up. And that's what I'm talking about when you go through to, the liquidity over here. If you can spike into that 68.2, that's exactly what will happen. 68.2 gets you above 67.7, which means the RSI is back up. And then this candle that occurred yesterday, especially if today's candle starts to turn green, this will really start to look like an obvious by the dip zone, right, as the next major high low. And in that instance, you get the shallow dip, right? That becomes the really, really shallow scenario. So again, I'll always remind you, what I typically do is I utilize that fib tool, move it from top to bottom, and then I've labeled it at least the bull fib, right? The bull fib is where your 0.382 and your 0.5 level on, those become the high probability by the dip zones, right? So again, things can go lower, right? Even in bull markets, when you get these sharp dips, you can come down to even the 618 to 65 level. But in a strong trending bull market, that's how you gauge it. Strong trending bull market, this is going to be the most significant zone where the majority of the dips will find support and ultimately bounce out of there. So that's the name of the game. We'll talk more about that as the bull run develops, right? Not that we in a breakout phase yet, but we could be very, very, very close, right? So, and the reason why is because of the inflection points that we've highlighted over here. You can see the volume is very, very low in Bitcoin right now as well, showing a little bit of apathy within the market following the recent move up. People are starting to lose hope once again, right? The sentiment is once again beginning to shift. As soon as that volume comes in and we lead into that election phase, we'll see what happens next. Now, in terms of what happens going into that election phase, my best guess is going to be continued chop, right? I don't necessarily think there'll be major fireworks on this exact date of the 5th of November, but maybe slightly after that is where we'll start to trend into those all-time highs once again. Okay, 4-hour chart, we've given the levels. You can see the bullish absorption that keeps occurring over here, but you don't want lower and lower closing 4-hour candles. The more times you knock into an area of support, which is that yellow line, the higher the probability is of an eventual breakthrough. If you do breach this and you come down, then, again, that 64K level, 64.5, 65.5, that becomes a very, very significant point. That lines up with the previous week's mid-range. It also lines up with the 50% level on the daily time frame, remember, taken from the higher low to assuming this is a confirmed high. That becomes the key zone, right? So if you are looking to buy the dip, if you're looking for an opportunity to trade and for some reason you don't have a crypto exchange, remember, guys, there is an opportunity over here, with Blofin, where you get a whole lot of prizes, right? You can win yourself a Rolex. There's a lot of prizes up for grabs. This is not a raffle-based thing. It's like absolutely certain and guaranteed. If you hit the certain trading volumes that they're looking for over here, you will get AirPods, and then after that, you will get a Switch, a Nintendo Switch, and then an iPhone and MacBook Pro with the M3 chip, and then the Apple Vision Pros, and then eventually you get yourself a Rolex. So the advantage, by the way, if you do use the link below and you sign up to Blofin, I do want to remind you also have the Win a Bitcoin competition, which you'll simultaneously have the opportunity to enter into, right? So Win a Bitcoin's back, you win yourself a full Bitcoin. Now, the way that it works is you come through to the description, sign up to these links over here. Each of these links will qualify you for the opportunity to guess the price of what Bitcoin will be by the 1st of January, right? As the clock strikes 12 on New Year's, it's all listed below over here, EST time, the Coinbase price. The closest guess wins half a Bitcoin. If you took 10 trades on that exchange, which is very easy, you can just go in and out, in and out, in and out, right? 10 trades, you'll get the other half a Bitcoin with that, which means you get a full Bitcoin. So once you've done that, go through to Banter Bubbles, go through to Win a Bitcoin over here, and this is where the people are putting in their guesses. So you can see it looks like the majority of the predictions are sitting in this range over here. It's always interesting to see the sentiment. Most people seem to believe between like $87,000 and about $92,000 is where the Bitcoin price will be. So it looks like it's ranging between 87, and I mean some of them are even going up as close to about just short of $100,000, right? You can see there are some bears over here. Some of the bears are looking for, like 64,000 on the far left. And then you got these extreme bulls on the high end looking at about $131,000 Bitcoin price. So all there for your advantage. Take advantage, sign up, use the link below. You get into 2 competitions at once. And let's get into the altcoins, right? Let's get into the altcoin mix. I think it's important to have a look at the altcoins because at this point in the cycle, pre-expansion, the closer you get to that expansive phase, the bigger the opportunity will be to find the right altcoin. So Solana has been holding up pretty well. As long as it defends and holds above this $160 level, this is probably going to be flipping prior resistance. This was resistance into new support. And then you can look for the springboard effect all the way up to this 205 level, right? So that's one thing. I also want to talk a little bit about the meme coins as well as AI. Yesterday, we went through a very useful exercise with the whale room community. I got asked questions, around, for example, Bitcoin Cash. Is Bitcoin Cash a good play, right? There's always different narratives out there. The lesson over here is it's very easy for any of you to go and check for yourself. All you have to do is look at the coin that you're interested in and the chart against BTC. So in this instance, this would be a very bad chart, right? This is, and we can reset the zoom over time. This is what Bitcoin Cash has done against Bitcoin over time. It means you've just lost money, right? You've lost Bitcoin value. If instead you were holding Bitcoin, this chart would be going straight up, right? Now, we can have a look at some of the others that, for example, have done well in recent times. Solana against Bitcoin, you can see if you've been holding Solana since the around June 2023, you've made massive amounts of Bitcoin, right? And you can argue this is consolidating, prepping for the next move towards the upside. If we go to, XRP, let's have a look at XRP against Bitcoin, and that will reset. Terrible investment, right? For the long term, you would not want to be holding this. So we can have a look at, there's a ton of them over here that we can have a look at. Tron, which has been a little bit of a dark horse recently because, most people didn't expect this. But if you look in the recent times, well, Tron against Bitcoin has suddenly started to go towards the upside. But over time, pretty flat, right? This shows you the risk of holding altcoins for the long term, right? Because sometimes things might temporarily do well, but over time, they either stay the same or they lose value against Bitcoin when taken over years and years and years, right? So please consider that when it comes to all of your investment theses, right? SUI against Bitcoin, let's have a look at that. So it was down only, up, then down only, and now up, right? It oscillates. So you can look to trade this as an oscillator as well at times, meaning when it nears the bottom over here and starts to show signs of life, just like a stochastic RSI turning towards the upside, you can always risk some of your Bitcoin moving it into, for example, 𝗬𝗎, ride it towards the upside. When the oscillator, or this is actually the price, but we're using it like an oscillator, starts to turn back down again, exit some of the 𝗬𝗎 back into Bitcoin and then rinse and repeat. So could it be that this is a deviation that 𝗬𝗎 is going to start to lose value against Bitcoin once again? It's very, very possible, right? You have equal highs over here in terms of the ratio. So that's something to look at. Keep that in the back of your mind. Now, you don't need to use a fancy tool like this over here. Remember, any of you can do it on your chart. These are all the various different ratios. This is 𝗓𝗧 against Bitcoin. Probably one to look at, right? This is what I'm talking about. Over time, you probably end up flat to down against Bitcoin. So previously, this was in quite a strong uptrend. This is on a weekly scale. Let's actually have a look at it on a daily scale, and let's just clean this up. And then we can talk again about the oscillator at best. So this is why you don't want to get too greedy on these positions over time, right? You need to hold yourself accountable, and you can clearly see a range high and a range low between the ratio of 𝗓𝗧 versus Bitcoin. So could it be a time now that you're starting to treat this as an oscillator where maybe, just maybe, that oscillator would start to turn towards the upside? That RSI, that stochastic, starts to roll over here, and then you should actually be positioning into 𝗓𝗧. Well, that's up to you to decide, right? You have to have your own trigger plan that you're looking for, but you can see when the market is hyped, this is where you want to be careful, right? This is where you probably want to take some profits out of your coins, your altcoin sector, into, of course, Bitcoin, right? For the safer play, expecting that it's going to act as an oscillator and eventually revert back to the bottom, right? So I think useful information over there. Let me know in the comments what you think. I know there's a lot of new people out here. Some of you may know this, but probably many of you don't actually know this, right? So I think it is worthwhile to look at those types of things. Now, the reason I'm bringing it all up is because you actually have to check how your meme coins are also doing, right? If we look at the meme coin KOL mindshare, well, we know that Mustop Murad is probably holding the strongest mindshare at the moment. If we click on this over here and we go to the top, look at that, 3.97% of all the mindshare is on Murad. The reason that I mentioned this is because if we look at some of his lists over here, he says over here, this is one of his most recent tweets, my quant friends have come up with a new way to identify cabal coins versus organic coins, right? The metric shows the percentage of trades in the first week from wallets that had less than 5 previous DEX swaps. High percentage equals insiders creating fresh wallets to distribute large chunks of supply, right? So, generally speaking, you want to go with the wallets over here in the green. So the lower the value over here, the less likely it is to be a cabal coin. And you can see a lot of the coins that are in our portfolio in Whale Room are in here, right? Lock-in, Giga, we don't have SPX 6900. We're waiting for a bit of a pullback. We recently discussed on the Whale Room Live yesterday, allocating into WIF. I think we also covered it briefly on the show yesterday as well. I've dropped all those charts from yesterday, by the way, for entry levels into things like WIF. The consideration over here is to possibly sell some of our Solana out into WIF for the next expansive phase to make some money. Okay, we don't have SKBDI. We have Mini, we have Retardio, we have Popcat, we have Michi, we have Frog, right? Frog, we recently allocated into the portfolio. And these are some of the ones that have done really, really well. Now, if you look towards the bottom, possibility that these are cabal coins since they are in extreme red. So these are the things you need to consider when you're allocating into your various different positions. The other thing I want to talk about is these AI agents, right? Remember yesterday we wrote an article. If you do want that article and you go through to this section over here to newsletters and you click on that link for Substack, it will take you through to the article with regards to the AI agents. This is for Whale Room. You can see we look at some of Murad's things over there. We've been doing some deep analysis. Anyway, we spoke about the AI agents and how some of these things are taking off. You can see that Virtual and Goat are now up 14 and 25% on the day alone. I think it's a sector that you probably want to keep your eye out on, right? So we can check some of the other AI coins. Let's move on to, let's quickly pull our list across over here. Let's have a look at some of the AI coins over here, see how that sector is doing. But the AI agents probably want to look at. Okay, so 𝗕𝗓𝗓 still grinding into that range high. Okay, the 𝗕𝗓𝗓's, real world assets. Let's go to 𝗓𝗓𝗓 over here. Okay, 𝗓𝗓𝗓 approaching the level of interest. I didn't drop this in yesterday's show or in the Discord, but it probably is one that you can keep an eye out on if you haven't yet allocated. You can see simple chart, parallel channel heading price towards the downside, meeting with the upslope with the horizontal resistance. Now, we first established our positions in this area over here, down here at the bottom, which was about 36 cents. If you missed that and you're still looking for a chance, good chance that this is going to come down to about 40 cents, right? So watch that zone over there. Let's have a look at 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓. Okay, 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓 still kind of consolidating. Let's see, you can probably throw in a trend line over there, right? There is a bit of a trend line over there. If that trend line breaks, it's obviously going to come all the way down to the strong horizontal over here, which is about 177. Aether, if you're treating this like an oscillator, this becomes the range low. This is a key area. Every time it seems to come into the bottom of the range low over here, you do get a bit of a deviation, right? So keep an eye on that. The deviation, as soon as it reclaims back into the range, pretty easy trade, right? Like this. Deviates in the range, stop loss goes over there. You can start to target mid-range and then range high. It didn't make it up to the range high in that instance. So if you do see again the deviation back in the range, stop goes below and trade it to mid-range and then look for range high, right? Okay, FET in terms of areas of interest. This is one that we looked at yesterday. Now, it's starting to lose this parallel channel. Can we adjust this ever so slightly? We can, but honestly, I wouldn't want to go anything beyond this. Let's just quickly measure exactly. This is really, you don't want to adjust these things too much. You're looking for the most amount of touch points. So if we're looking at FET over here, and we adjust ever so slightly just to get that one to touch over there. We've got touch point 1, touch point 2. Then we can argue, it's not yet broken. You can see over here, wick. This one goes through the body, obviously, wick over there. All the wick highs over there, which means that, possibly if the market starts to bounce over here and you get a short squeeze, maybe not a bad zone to allocate a little bit into FET. But with that being said, please keep in mind, if FET does lose that level, I would expect that it's probably going to revert all the way down to this white line, which is $1.05. Okay, GPU. This one's already lost its parallel channel, which makes it irrelevant. I think you can delete that. You would have to redraw the levels over here. And I'd probably be looking at, the most significant area is going to be a range low. Not that much price issue over here. That's your extremity, right? Always try to take the trades at the extremities. Okay, GRT, not looking good. This one's losing this level. This is your SR flip region. You want to flip it back into support. You're currently losing it. Okay, Octa is coming into an interesting zone over here. You've previously had pretty rapid moves off of this level over here. And if you do lose that level, you also have some horizontal support slightly below. So one to keep an eye on. What about Render? Okay, Render starting to lose this zone as well. Can we adjust this ever so slightly, or is that complete bias? Okay, that's probably, the most conservative that I could draw this trend line over here. Touch point 1, 2, 3, and you're coming in for the fourth one. So you can see for a lot of these coins, it's truly a do or die situation. You really want to see these things moving ASAP, right? 𝗬𝗢 had a huge move up. We warned you of that. We said, watch as it comes into range high. This is your profit-taking opportunity. If it does have enough momentum following such a big move to actually move through that range high, it's very, very easy, right? You would have got over here. You would have pushed through. You would have had multiple back tests into support over here, and then you would have entered at exactly the same price you basically exited at with far less risk. But you can see over here, price rejected off of that region, failing the 0.65 to 618, which means, honestly, I'd probably look for this to come all the way back down. This could come as low as between $460 and about $500 for 𝗬𝗢, right? In terms of other AI coins and opportunities, right? There is another opportunity. I did make a tweet about it if you want to go and have a look at that. With the AI narrative, which is obviously constantly developing with the AI agents, there might be some new attention that comes into the sector. Whether it's going to perform as well as meme coins or not, that I'm not convinced of, but I think it's still worth it for the diversification purposes. So one thing that you can have a look at is the AI nodes, right? Blue Whale AI nodes have just come out. Crypto Banter managed to arrange a special opportunity for you. I've put it in a tweet thread if you want to read more about it and learn more about it. There was a tier 1 and a tier 2 node sale that went out. It sold out within 2 days. Most of you wouldn't have got an opportunity to get into that. They're now on tier 3. But again, the special opportunity for you guys at Crypto Banter at least is they arrange for you to get in on the tier 2 pricing despite it having been sold out. So how does it work exactly? What is it? Simply, they have an app. You download it. If you do want to participate, you click it, you run it in the background, and essentially the node will run on your mobile device, earning you money. What do they do? How does it work? What do they even do for the industry? Well, if you look over here, this is what they did for OKX. They help understand user behavior, right? So using their dashboard, they basically provide insights and run targeted campaigns. So instead of your data being sold to big tech, they're allowing you the opportunity to actually, make money out of your own data, just like any one of these other models, right? So if you do want to participate, there's a link in the description below of this YouTube channel. You would have to use the promo code DOOPS. It will take you to this page over here. You'll click purchase. This is giving you tier 2 pricing. You click purchase over here, and then promo code, put in DOOPS. If you use that promo code, that's what gives you access to that tier 2 pricing. All right, let's continue. Drop your chart requests in the comment section. I am watching over there, and I'll make sure to bring any of that up. So let's see. Let me scroll up a little bit over here. I see there is a request on Thorchain, which is Rune. We'll look at that. 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓, Ponky. Okay, let me try remember all of those things. Let's go in order. Let's first go to, as you mentioned, 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓 or Thorchain. Sorry, it was Rune and then 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓. Okay, let's just quickly double check over here. Where is Rune? Okay, how is Rune doing? Have I lost my Rune chart? USDT. There we go. This one over here. Okay, so Rune is still holding up. This is what I said. The best case scenario for bulls is for the Rune bulls to just keep defending price action along this trend line over here. And eventually bears will capitulate, starting to look like reaccumulation, ascending triangle. And then you should start to get expansion towards the upside. Where are your major resistance levels coming in? On Rune, you're going to be looking at about $7.30-ish cents. That's going to be the major area of interest. I do have Rune in my portfolio, probably about between about 1 to 1.5% of my portfolio is currently allocated to Rune. Okay, let's have a look at some of the others. I am on GigaChat over here. It's performed phenomenally well. I believe that we got into GigaChat along this trend line over here. So give or take, you'd be up around about a 4x, which sounds about right because I looked at my portfolio this morning and I thought it was about a 4x up based on what I put in. So great trade over there. It's up to you if you want to take profits. This has extended quite a lot, but as mentioned, these meme coins can do insane things. So personally, I'm just continuing to hold mine. Okay, 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓. Let's have a look at 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓 over here. Okay, 5,012 holders, $17.71 million market cap. Oftentimes I think about these things in market cap and less so in price, especially if it doesn't have much price history. So I would say if it can defend that $15 million market cap level, multiples of 5, that's going to be a significant zone. So areas of interest, this is a clear SR flip region. You can see prior support, flips it into resistance, deviates below resistance again, leads into a little bit of an order block that sends it up with that move over there. So as it's coming down over here, don't be surprised if it comes all the way back down to 0.0099. That probably becomes the buy the dip zone. That's the really the point of control as it currently stands. Okay, what was the other one that we had? Let me scroll up over here, just try to catch up with some of those requests. Okay, I see we have 𝗓𝗡. We can have a look at that. We have Superverse. Yeah, let's have a look at Super quick, and then I'll go to 𝗓𝗡. Super, all right. There it is. So Super has been one that's done phenomenally well. Honestly, it looks bullish. it's reaccumulating. This probably looks like it's going to be the next high low, and you should get expansion, right? So 𝗕𝗬𝗓's project over here, expansion. But do keep in mind, there's a massive amount of built up liquidity over here. And if you do eventually break this trend line over here, that's where you see those massive flushes towards the downside. So look, from my side, I didn't allocate anything into gaming, metaverse, or NFTs. You know, I'm completely unexposed to that industry. It's been like picking a needle in a haystack to get something like this that's done so well. So since the market has shown that Super is one of the leaders, if you do get that flush towards the downside, the next flush is probably where I would start to look to allocate personally, since this is probably going to be one of the stronger ones for the cycle. The other one which we looked at yesterday was Prime, right, which is coming directly into the zone over there. So Prime is hitting this exact level over here. You can see a little bit of demand coming in. How low could it go? You know, I've drawn this as absolute conservatively as possible. If it is going to respect the trend line, you're looking at that 780 region. So possible trade opportunity for any of you out there if you are looking for a trade. 780, you know, invalidation is acceptance below this trend line, at which point it then comes down to 670. Okay, let's go to 𝗓𝗡𝗡, and then we'll go to Phantom. I see there's a request there for Phantom as well. Where's 𝗓𝗡𝗡? Wait. There we have it, 𝗓𝗡𝗡. Okay, still grinding down, Similar to everything else that I've shown you guys in terms of areas of interest, this is truly the area of interest for 𝗓𝗡𝗡. You know, this could come back down to about $16.60. Anywhere between here and about $16.60 is more or less where you're looking for a reaction. So again, you don't always have to blindly buy things. You can simply observe price as it comes in there and wait for the reaction. If you get the reaction and it shows little wicks that are forming, breaks this downsloping trend line, then you know you might have a trade on your hands, especially if Bitcoin starts to hold those levels and reclaim some of those key zones. All right, next one we said was Phantom, right? Let's have a look at Phantom. All right, Phantom. Okay, cool. Phantom still holding up, right? Still holding up over here. Phantom played out a very similar trade to what we saw with Aptos, right, which was the inverse head and shoulders, broke out. Now it's just kind of chopping about and consolidating. I definitely wouldn't buy it here. I'd rather wait for cleaner price action. If Phantom were to pull back into this lower region over here at about 56 cents, that becomes an opportunity to put some more on the table. Alternatively, you know, you're probably better off waiting for this to clear this region, hold the support, and then rather take a low leverage trade up to here because you have your next level intact, right? So if we look at Aptos, it played out something similar. It's just had stronger follow through, right? So the inverse head and shoulders occurred down here. Do I still have it on the chart, or have I lost the it looks like I've lost the drawings over there, but we were looking at the same thing, right? You wanted clearance of this level, and you've got that, right? So you're flipping that into support over there, straight high highs, high lows. Yesterday was a bit of a scary wick that occurred, so just continue to monitor that. Could be a topping tail wick over there. Also, like a lot of these coins like Super, building up a lot of liquidity towards the upside. If that is a topping tail candle and you start to break below the key zone over here at 980, well, then, of course, that warrants a short, and you could trade that back down to, I would say, about 760, right? 760 is going to be the next major level, which lines up right over there. Okay, let's catch up on the comments over here. Link, we can have a look at Link. I just can't personally see Link performing in the cycle. I think Link is absolutely incredible technology, and they obviously have their hand pretty much across the board, right? They're involved with absolutely everything. But just because that's the case doesn't mean that it'll absolutely fly. We initially took a massive trade from all the way at the bottom down here, and we traded, pretty much hit the exact TP over there, and then distributed, came all the way back down to the bottom of the range. You know, if you're a long-term believer in Link, then ultimately this is where you want to see the reaccumulation take place. So following a long-term accumulation, you get expansion, you come back down. Now your expectation would be that, you know, anywhere around here, you're looking for another series of reaccumulation, right? So if you Google the Wyckoff schematics, right, you'll see that this is what the charts do, right? They go through distribution, reaccumulation, a markup phase, then you maybe go through distribution again, reaccumulation, and then you might lead into another markup phase, and then hopefully reaccumulation and continuation. You should see an image on Google that shows you exactly this. This is often how the markets move. So use it to your advantage, right? Use that to your advantage. If you do want to learn more about this, I actually cover that extensively in Whale School. There is the links in the description. It's free to join. So if you want to learn more about I cover Wyckoff, especially in the workshops. It's covered briefly in the course content, but in the live workshops, which you get access to when you join the school, we cover that extensively. So we start in pretty much 7 days, right? So make sure you join, use the link there, and jump into Whale School. Okay, Ponky. Let's have a look at Ponky. Ponky, also one of my positions. Let's have a look at Ponky. How's it doing? All right. Okay, so massive range over here for Ponky. Had the big move towards the upside. Let's continue to monitor this. You kind of capped around that mid-range region. Let's go from the exact high over there, just out of interest. So you can see you're coming into that part of the range, right? From the high to the low, you're coming into the 50% level. So a little bit of resistance over there. But if we simply focus on the yellow lines, which is the line of best fit, range low, range high over there, then you can see, well, theoretically, you're holding above that part of the mid-range, but you still need to get above the recent 50% from the high to the low over there, which is going to be exactly where price is, that 46 region. Then you start to see bulls take control at that point, and then we can look to reclaim the top side of the range at 60 cents. So we have our bags packed. We entered this all the way down here at the range lows. I think we may have even got in some of our position a bit earlier, but I built a bigger position around here. Okay, let's check on Brett. How's Brett doing? Okay, this is the level to hold for Brett. Same as a lot of the coins, right? Really do or die situation. You want to see this pink zone flip into support, bulls take control, and then get price high. This is where you want to see all the higher lows form, all the key zones hold up for price action, right? Okay, what else? What else, guys? Drop it in the comments over there. Based AI, we can have a look at that. I haven't looked at Based AI for a while. So let's check out Based AI. All right, $72 million market cap, 16,000 holders. Let's wait for the chart to load up over there. Okay, so again, do or die for a lot of the coins. Things must bounce over here. Otherwise, this is going to distribute further. Based AI coming all the way down into this key range low area. You want to see this immediately move, as in like over the next couple of days, start to break and reclaim some of these levels. Safety comes in again if Based AI can start to get above $2.47. Otherwise, this is a high risk situation, right? It could be distributing over here. And if it does distribute, your next major levels of support are going to be over here at about $1.17. And I got that obviously from, you can see those previous highs. That cap price led to the little order block into the move up over there. And then you could potentially be coming back to that zone if it doesn't bounce. Okay, I don't know what Medusa is. I see there's a question over there for Medusa, but I'll have a look. Let's see. Medusa. Okay, if it's 8 days old, I mean, look, I don't know if this is at 4.7 million. Again, you can never really comment, even if the price chart posts over here. You work in increments, right? Increments of 5. If you can hold above 5 million, you can target 10 million. Hold above 10 million, you can target 15. That's really all that I would have to say. Like the chart's not even loading up over here. Okay. What else, guys? Nairo. We can have a look at Nairo, Maker. Let's look at Maker as well. Maker typically trades as, how can I say it, like a little bit of a higher beta play to Ethereum. So they tend to trade in a similar way. But yeah, this has been absolutely smashed. So you've approached your prior range breakout level. Again, just like a lot of the other coins, do or die. Following a massive move towards the downside, you might get some sort of an impulsive bounce. So watch for that. If it can hold up, then this is probably where I'd expect reaccumulation on Maker. That's what you're looking for. If failure to hold that level will start to look really bad, then I'll need to target down on Maker. Most interested area would be probably around just above this $800 mark is where I would see Maker coming to next. So be careful of that. Be careful of that if you are buying. Maybe just wait for some confirmation. All right, guys, that's it from me. Let's cut over there. Again, make sure you jump into Whale Room, join Whale School. It's absolutely for free. All the charts have been posted in Whale Room for those of you that want the ones from yesterday. I'll catch all of you on tomorrow's show. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day wherever you are in the world. And cheers for now.